In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at and doing a tasting review of Tequila Cosmico right here on the Tequila Hombre. Coming up next. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tequila Hombre, where today we're going to be taking a look at and doing a tasting review of Tequila Cosmico. I have the Blanco here, this is the Blanco that they sent me, and they also sent me a Anejo Cristalino and an extra Anejo Cristalino. Now they obviously aren't viewers of the channel here and probably haven't watched my content, otherwise they probably would not have sent these to me, but they did. And so we're going to go over production details on this and do our tasting and see if there's actually a good tequila that's produced this way. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into production and how this tequila is produced. All right, so Tequila Cosmico comes from NOM 1489. This distillery uses a big fat diffuser for making their tequila. Now, if you're not familiar with a diffuser looks like this. It's a big machine that they use to produce tequila. And instead of chopping the tequila up and taking the the bitter part of it out, the cojoyo, taking the cojoyo out, and then cooking the agave first, and then using an extraction method like a roller mill or a Toona to extract the sugars from the agave fibers. Instead, the diffuser is an extraction method, and they don't cook the agave prior to placing it in the diffuser. Instead, they chuck the whole agave into a shredder, and then the fibers go into the diffuser, and they're sprayed with hot water and sulfuric acid. The sulfuric acid is what converts the starches to sugars in the agave instead of cooking it for 24 hours, 36 hours in a brick orno or in an autoclave, and using steam as the fuel to convert the starches to sugars. Instead, they use sulfuric acid. After that's done, then they then take the sludge that comes out of the diffuser and ferment it, and typically ferment it fairly quickly. Once fermentation's complete, then they distill it using a column still, which is a still that's typically used in vodka production. And then after that, it is then bottled at 40% alcohol by volume. And these are Cristalinos, and so we'll go into Cristalinos when we get to the tasting portion of it. So I've had some conversations with people on diffusers, and according to some of the people I talked to, you can make a good quality tequila with the diffuser, but because a lot of these distilleries just look for it as a cheap way of doing it, you don't need to hire people to prepare the agave, so they don't have to pay people for that. Instead, they can just dump all the agave in a bin, and a conveyor belt takes it up to the shredder and into the diffuser. But the way that I've heard from some master distillers that have actually played with diffusers, they said they noticed no detrimental flavor profile additions to a tequila when you cook the agave first and then use a roller mill or a Toona to extract the sugars, and then put the fibers in the diffuser to get the remaining sugars out for efficiency reasons. That's the way that they said that basically you won't get any adverse effects from using the diffuser on the flavor profile. But unfortunately, these particular distilleries don't do that. Instead, they chuck the whole agave in. They typically leave more penca on the agave than really should be, and let the diffuser then extract the starches with hot water and sulfuric acid. And if you've ever been by a diffuser when it's operating, it smells like rotten eggs from the sulfuric acid that they use. It's kind of a gross thing. And then the fibers that come out are gray, and they just don't look great at all. But unfortunately, it's acceptable in the tequila world, and this is a diffused tequila. So we're going to go into the tasting portion and see what this tequila is like, and hopefully it's better than I expect, but we'll see. All right, so first we're gonna taste the Blanco. So we'll go ahead and pour this into the glass. It's got a really weird pour top on it. Can you see that? That's the pour top on it. All right. So the thing that can be confusing to people with Cristalinos is, you know, this is a Blanco. And these are Cristalinos, which look like Blancos, but they're not Blancos. That's confusing to people, but we'll try to square that away when we get to tasting the Cristalinos here in a minute. So we got the tequila in the glass. Let's take a look at it in the glass. So looking at it in the glass, it coats the glass nicely. You see legs and tears start to come down. So this think it's going to have a nice viscous mouthfeel to it. According to the brand, they don't use additives in these, so. But it doesn't look bad looking at the tequila in the glass. It's crystal clear. Little dashes of reflections of light going through it. Looks nice. All right, let's see what we get on the nose on this. On the nose, we get a light cinnamon and baking spices from the cooked agave. A little hint of citrus in there. Not a whole lot of complexity to it. But there is a nice ripe cooked agave nose to it. All right, let's see how it tastes. It's got a little bit of a burn to it. Actually, quite a bit of a burn to it. Actually, a lot of burn to it. Definitely some cooked agave notes in the front of it. But it's fairly thin. There's not a whole lot of complexity to it. Just some cinnamon and baking spices up in the front, and then the finish isn't very long on it, and then it's pretty much just gone. It's not awful. It's not awful at all. It's not bad. It's just has this burn on it that's kind of rough. Other than that, it's like slight cooked agave in the front. A little bit of bitterness that comes after the cooked agave. Actually, I'm getting more of the bitterness now. It kind of rides through, all the way through on the finish on the bitterness. And there's heat. There's definitely heat to it. Let me try a little more and see if that bitterness is still there. It's got kind of a really cloying bitterness on the finish on it. Yeah, and it has the cinnamon and baking spice up front, and then this bitterness that just comes in right after it and just rides through all the way through to the finish now. This is not something that I would consider a sipping tequila. It might be great for shots if you're doing shots with it or mixing it in a cocktail. But the bitterness on the end of this, it's just really, and it's hot. It's got heat to it. So it's hot and it's got a bitterness. Yeah, it's not something I would recommend sipping. It's not good. It's not good. But if you're somebody that does shots and you're looking for something inexpensive, this may work for you. Or if you're looking for something for cocktails and you don't really care about the quality of what you're putting into your tequila, just looking for something mildly priced, I guess you can use this. But it's not something I would ever recommend anybody use for cocktails or for sipping. So, but let's go take a look at the 2 Cristalinos and see what they're all about. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the Anejo Cristalino. I still am feeling my stomach burn from that Blanco. And I'm burping up like bitter flavor notes from it, which I'm not necessarily enjoying. It's definitely not a sipping tequila, that Blanco. I don't know if it was made more for cocktails or whatever, but it's definitely not a sipper. So this is the Anejo Cristalino. I think these are the ones that they did more for sipping. So what an Anejo Cristalino is, it's basically a tequila that's put in a barrel for over a year. And then they carbon filter it to filter out all the color and a lot of the flavor in it. It can make tequila more approachable, easier to drink. They say they don't use additives in it. Typically they'll use additives to put the flavor back in it because you can't tell carbon filtering what to take out. It'll take everything out. Excuse me. Oh God, my stomach. So it's, they take a lot of the stuff out and it basically turns it into something that's really easy to drink, and it might have light vanilla and chocolate notes to it from what's left after the filtering. And that's basically what it is. It's a big marketing gimmick, the Cristalinos. But it's really, they can be good for people that like more bland stuff and just want something that's really easy to drink and not a lot of flavor or just very little flavor. That's typically the kind of people that would enjoy a Cristalino. Of course, some of them put the chocolate and vanilla flavoring back so they can make it really sweet. In this one, let's see what we get. So this one in the glass, it coats the glass nicely. You can see the legs and tears coming down it. Let's see what we get on the nose. Just vanilla. I get light vanilla on the nose. Not much anything else, just light vanilla. Yeah, it smells like vanilla. All right, let's see what we get on the flavor profile. Nice and oily on the flavor profile. Not much anything on it. It's almost like a vodka. Yeah, I'm not getting much of anything on this. Maybe light vanilla in there. It still has heat. I'm still getting heat. I'm still getting burned from it. And now I'm starting to get some bitterness on the aftertaste on it. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of flavor to this at all. So I believe they don't use additives. But this is it's very easy to drink. And if you're somebody that doesn't like the taste of tequila, so be it, and just want something to drink to get drunk, maybe this would work for you. But for me, there's no flavor to this. It's almost like drinking vodka. So the Anejo is a no-go for me. Let's take a look at the extra Anejo Cristalino. All right, so here we go with the extra Anejo Cristalino. Oh, this one doesn't have a pour top. This one's actually like a normal bottle, which is kind of cool, with a cork in it. All right, I'm using separate glasses for each of these too, just so we don't mix them up. Hold on. Oh, that's rough. I've never had that happen before. I'm sorry. Wow. All right, so looking at this one in the glass, it coats the glass beautifully. You can see the legs and tears. It's got a nice viscous mouthfeel to it. Looking at the tequila itself, crystal clear. All right, let's see what this extra Anejo Cristalino's got coming for it. Not a whole lot of anything on the nose. Light cooked agave, maybe? Maybe light vanilla in there too. But not a whole lot of anything. I get a little bit of like mineral kind of water, and that's about it. Not a whole lot of anything on it. So let's see what we get on the flavor profile. Coats the mouth wonderfully. Has a nice silky mouthfeel to it. Just a little bit of sweet cinnamon note to it, and then this burn that's still there. Oh God. There's no I'm starting to get a bitter aftertaste to it now too. Yeah, the bitter aftertaste is what kills me on these. There's no other flavor to it up front initially. So if you're a person that does shots, this stuff might work for you. But for me, all three are a no-go. This is not good, even for a Cristalino. I've tried Cristalinos that, were delicious, with like lots of vanilla and caramel to them. Although I wouldn't recommend them because you can tell there was additives and stuff in them. You can tell that these don't use additives for sure, but there's no flavor to them at all. So if you're looking for kind of agave vodka, this might be a good option for you, but I wouldn't recommend anybody drink this stuff in all honesty. I'm having a hard time dealing with it right now on my stomach. So I'm going to have to wrap this up so I can go deal with this. If you like the information I share with you in this video, make sure you click the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. And until next time, like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila, and if you want to avoid bad tequila, don't pick up Tequila Cosmico. It's not something I could recommend wholeheartedly to anybody. I'm sorry. I try to be nice, but this stuff just is not good. Salute. Bye, guys.